Hi, I'm Alana from Alana Jade Studio, and in this video I want to talk through how you can check if your business colour palette is kind and inclusive and meets accessibility standards. We're going to be using our Earth 1 Week website base design and our Kind Folk brand kit as an example, so you can see how we at Alana Jade Studio ensure that all of our clients' branding meets AA accessibility standards. And don't worry if you don't know what that means, I will explain it all as we go. First of all, before we jump in, it's really important to understand that your brand colors are not just about looking pretty and helping your audience remember your business. Sure, that's a key part, but one of the other key components to making your website and other marketing materials more inclusive is the color contrast of your color palette. Strong color contrast ensures that everyone, regardless of their visual ability, can easily read and navigate your site. It's a small thing that makes a big difference in creating a kind and inclusive online space. So what I always say is accessibility or kind and inclusive website starts at the branding phase. So when you're working with a branding designer, or a graphic designer, make sure you ask them if they're across accessibility standards and that they're going to include that in your branding package. Okay, if we pop over to the accessibilitychecker.org/color contrast checker, this is where you can actually check to see that what accessibility standards your color palette meets. So at Alana Jade Studio, we always aim to meet AA accessibility standards for large and small text. If a client specifically requests it, we can also ensure we meet AAA. But as a baseline, we always aim to meet AA. AA means that the color pairings on your site are going to be able to be perceived and read by most users, but not all of them. AAA indicates that color pairings on your site can be readable and perceived by almost all users. So it really depends on your requirements and specific goals of the website and also who your audience is and who you're targeting. But generally as a baseline, we try to meet AA or AAA where we can. So let's have a look at this color palette from our Kind Folk brand kit. Now this is just an example color palette here. We normally select a custom color palette for all of our clients, and so therefore we go through this process with all of our clients. But what we want to do is have a look at over here how we've applied these or using these colors on a website. We're using white as a background color with a darker font color over the top. We're also using this lighter sand color with a darker color over the top. So we're also using this dark green color with a blue and white over the top. So we want to make sure that these color ratios meet that AA or AAA standard. So this is how we do it. Let's start with a white first. So let's imagine that we have a white background. I'm going to put that in the background color here. And then we're using this earth color, which is that darker color, for fonts. So that's what you're seeing here in this section. We can see that this is excellent. It meets all AA and AAA standards. So that's great. Let's check now to see if the sand color with the earth color works, because we're using that here as well. So I'll grab the sand color and we'll pop that into there. Whoops. And you can see that this is pretty good as well. It's meeting our baseline of AA and also AAA for larger text. So that's great. We also have it the other way round here where we've got the darker color and this blue color for heading and white for text. So we can achieve that by grabbing the earth color here. We're going to put that in as the background color this time. And then we've got the water drop color as text. Again, this is great. It's meeting our baseline of AA. And we'll also do the white as well, which we actually did before. So we can see that that is excellent. So overall, when we're looking at this website and we're seeing it's mostly used here these sections with the darker colors and the lighter colors, they're all meeting accessibility standards. You'll also notice in some areas we have a light blue button with a dark earth color. This is also important because buttons need to be readable. They must also meet contrast, the color contrast requirements. And we checked that before with the earth color as the text and the water drop color as the background color, and we can see that that's meeting standards. Now there's a few examples in here in this guideline where colors don't meet accessibility standards. For example, this leaf color here, if I pop that in as a background color with the earth color, you can see it's bad contrast. What if I put white there instead as, say, the text color? Again, bad contrast. Similar thing with this dirt color too. If we do that, it's also going to give us that bad contrast. So what this is telling us is we really don't want to use those colors as those color combinations together as background shading. It's going to be really difficult for someone to read. However, that doesn't mean that it eliminates those colors altogether. For example, this dirt color here, while I haven't used it for any text or shading on the site, I've actually used it for lines and borders. It adds a nice little touch to the site, but it doesn't impact the readability of the site, for example. Another example here with this leaf color, if I scroll all the way down, you'll notice at the bottom of this site, I've used the brand mark in the green. What you might be wondering is, do these color contrasting apply to logos and decorative images? And this would be classed as a brand mark or a decorative image. Other decorative images might be illustrations or little shapes, for example. And the answer here is that these types of graphics, logos, decorative images, those kinds of things, they don't actually require a contrast ratio. There you have it. This is how you can check whether your business color palette meets color contrast accessibility colors. You can also get really creative and playful. So while some colors might not necessarily meet those ratios, you can use them as decorative elements or accent elements. Those particular elements like borders or logos, decorative images that don't require a color contrast to meet accessibility standards. At Alana Jade Studio, all of our brand kits include a step where we check accessibility and color contrast, and we provide you with guidelines on how best to use your color palette to ensure it meets accessibility standards. You can find out more about our brand kits at alanajadestudio.com.